Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay. You would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team?
Yeah,
you
of
are
course
a
you have to be,
complete
like, the
and utter
heavyweight,
lunatic.
Piers Morgan, a prominent and recognizable media personality, has become a vocal critic of woke culture, frequently addressing the topic in interviews and podcasts. In this video, we explore moments where Morgan has delivered sharp critiques and engaged in fiery debates, often dismantling aspects of woke ideology in spirited exchanges on live television.
The rainbow flag has been hoisted over London's Regent Street in place of Union Jack and draped from the White House balcony in place of a star-spangled banner, which has sparked quite a backlash in the States. Have we gone rainbow crazy? Or is Pride Month more important than patriotism?
Piers Morgan has been outspoken about his stance against what he perceives as the overly aggressive and forceful methods of some LGBTQ advocates, consistently expressing his views without hesitation.
I'm not triggered by a rainbow flag. I'm triggered by the fact that everywhere I go for a calendar month, everything has to be a rainbow flag.
Piers Morgan's frustration stems from his belief that mainstream media is being eroded by woke antics, a sentiment shared by his host, who also voiced similar dissatisfaction.
Well, I'm triggered that everywhere I go for the entire year, everything has to be straight. Why is straight
Where's
everywhere?
my straight flag?
Why am I constantly
Where
getting
is
straight
my
people?
straight flag?
Why are straight people holding hands in the
When
street?
have you ever seen a straight flag?
Why has Mickey Mouse got a
Tell me
girlfriend?
one straight flag
Why
hanging
are you
right now
pushing-
anywhere in the world.
Why are straight people
Where
pushing
is the straight flag?
identity
Where's the
onto
straight
me?
flag?
Everywhere.
Where's my straight flag?
It's everywhere.
There's never been a straight flag.
You're a straight flag.
Piers Morgan has expressed frustration with what he perceives as excessive media coverage of LGBTQ issues and the community's continued calls for greater attention. In a surprising twist, during a famous interview, Morgan made headlines by humorously revealing a new gender identity, sparking widespread discussion.
Why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
Well, I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
In reflecting on the moment Piers Morgan humorously identified as a black lesbian, it becomes clear that the declaration stemmed from his frustration with the logic presented by his woke guest at the start of the interview, a perspective that did not resonate with him and sparked his satirical response.
It's not an easy thing to do, to go out into
Actually,
the world.
it's very easy.
It's
very easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
What
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
whatever that person decides.
Week 6. During the show, Piers Morgan appeared to derive the idea from woke ideologies that the difficulty in defining certain identities makes it acceptable to choose any identity at any time from the vast array of over 100 recognized genders, prompting his satirical take on the matter.
Is it limitless, this self-identity?
It's not totally limitless.
What's the
but
limit?
when you're talking about International Women's Day, I don't know why we take the conversation around International Women's Day and make it about.
Piers Morgan highlighted the potential dangers of men identifying as women, particularly in cases where individuals exploit this gender identification to gain placement in female prisons, thereby manipulating the justice system for personal advantage.
We've literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
When his argument failed to sway the woke activist, Piers Morgan took a dramatic turn by humorously identifying as a black lesbian, completely shifting the tone of the discussion and leaving his guest caught off guard with his unexpected and comedic self-expressions.
My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders.
Oh.
Wow, so you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are.
Whoa, hang on, whoa.
After thoroughly challenging the arguments of his woke guest, Piers Morgan took it a step further by humorously revealing a new gender identity inspired by the BBC's list of over 100 genders. His second chosen identity was particularly unexpected, leaving viewers surprised.
But it is difficult, but I think making...
But it's not difficult until you make it difficult. You see, the BBC has done teaching videos to 11 and 12-year-olds where they say there are 100 genders. One of them was astrogender, which is an affinity with the stars and the galaxy. My response to that on the last show I did was to say, well, in that case, I identify as a two-spirit penguin. I was then told I was being ridiculous, but I made the same point. The ridiculousness is the BBC teaching kids there are 100 genders. There aren't.
Next, Piers Morgan passionately defended J.K. Rowling, who became a target of the trans activist community over rumors that her new book was allegedly transphobic, leading to death threats and widespread calls for her cancellation online.
Which goes into great detail, which means that actually all the premise for why she has to be RIP'd is actually based on a complete load of nonsense.
Piers Morgan took the issue of J.K. Rowling's treatment very seriously, likely due to his admiration for the author and his own experience as a victim of cancel culture. He expressed his frustration with what he saw as bullying and intimidation from the woke mob, making it clear that he had had enough of their tactics.
And all those who have been contributing to the RIP J.K. Rowling, they're the ones that want her dead, cancelled, shamed, vilified, finished for writing a novel that none of you have read.
Piers Morgan was especially outraged by the death threats directed at J.K. Rowling. During the interview, he repeatedly mentioned how he had read Nick Cowan's review of the book and emphasized that even the guest brought in to defend the trans activists had not taken the time to read it themselves.
And neither have you, so you can't be sure of that.
I've read a very lengthy review here which completely repudiates the whole point of your position. Let me bring in George Galloway. George, this is the problem here, isn't it? This cancel culture.
Piers Morgan is known for matching the energy of his woke guests, but in his next interview with an advocate of plant-based diets and veganism, he revealed a petty side that many had not expected from him.
I don't like vegans very much. I don't think any of you look very healthy.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I think you all look pretty pasty-faced and unhealthy to me, but that's your choice.
Piers Morgan kicked off the interview with a strong stance, unapologetically refusing to sugarcoat his view on veganism, which he saw as just another part of the woke culture he has consistently rejected. His opposition to both veganism and the protests associated with it was clearly evident in this clip, as he firmly expressed his disapproval.
Right, wouldn't you? You'll go nuts if I came running into your little vegan hellholes and began screaming abuse. You'd all throw your toys out the pram, as you do on a daily basis.
I'm not throwing my toys out the pram right now.
Throughout the interview, it seemed like Piers Morgan was deliberately trying to annoy his vegan guest, and things only escalated as Piers revealed he had a few more tricks up his sleeve to further provoke the conversation.
What does it achieve? None of you make me want to change my mind. I just think, what annoying little squits. Honestly, I do. It's the same when you're chucking paint at Van Gogh paintings. It's the same when you're tying yourself to fuel pumps or hanging yourself on bridges and stopping people using Dartford Tunnel. It's all the same.
Piers went on airing his views. While leaving the vegan speechless, everyone thought Piers Morgan was done demolishing this woke ideology. But it was at the close end of the interview he brought out the biggest tool in his arsenal.
Won't need any of this gruel.
Fantastic.
Let's put that to one side, but I will have a bit of steak just to...
You didn't salt it though.
You see, all you've achieved is you've made me want to do this. Just eat a lovely...
absolutely fine.
Piers had pulled this stunt multiple times before in another interview with a vegan activist. Piers Morgan ensured he carried out every possible action to infuriate an advocate of veganism.
How does that persuade me, who already likes eating meat? Why are you going to persuade me by being a vandal? Don't get it.
Yeah, I think we're in an incredibly difficult position at the moment because we've been...
Why are you making it any easier?
As usual, he started with questions, asking his vegan guest why the group feels the need to use vandalism and property destruction to air their views to the public. After that didn't seem to work, Piers went haywire and did what he was known for.
Total hypocrisy, isn't it? You don't care about bees being murdered?
Will you let me speak, Piers?
Huh?
Will you let me speak?
Why are you laughing? It's not funny.
I'd like to respond.
Bees getting slaughtered and you giggling away like it doesn't matter whilst destroying buildings because you care so much about animals.
Piers' utter disregard for the usual protocols on television sets him out as a menace, and this is the image he hopes to have in the face of woke culture, an image that has gotten him cancelled, but it's obvious he doesn't care at the tail of the interview. Piers goes ahead to pull out a Big Mac, which he bites down on right in front of his vegan guest.
And my response to you destroying all these things is to have a Big Mac. Because you know what? It's a free country, it's a democracy, and I'm allowed to eat meat, and I'm certainly allowed to eat meat when someone who kills bees to feed their avocado habit, mine.
Finally, we have this interview where Piers completely went on a rampage on the issue of woke ideology, especially on the topic of trans athletes competing in women's sports. This is an issue for Piers, who believes that it is unfair for biological women that have to compete against previously male-identifying trans men who have taken advantage of their biological physics to dominate women's sports and set probably unbeatable records.
Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team.
Yeah,
you are a
you have to be
complete
like the
and utter
heavyweight.
lunatic.
I completely agree with Francesca, and I'd go
They
further
would
actually,
have
Piers.
to
You always...
transition.
Morgan's heated remarks on the views of his trans activist guests were so brutal that they became iconic in the arguments against woke culture. Throughout the interview, Piers refused to hold back on his strong views against the trans mob.
The idea you would let Usain Bolt say, I'm a woman, and compete against women on a racetrack when no man can compete with him, right?
Piers Morgan has consistently been a strong and outspoken critic of woke culture, using both forceful and humorous arguments to voice his views on various issues, particularly the inclusion of trans athletes in sports. He has been vocal in opposing the participation of male athletes who identify as female in women's sports, a stance that has earned him praise from some groups and backlash from others. So, what do you think? Is Piers Morgan right to call out the dangers of woke culture? Or is the movement a necessary force for change in today's society? Has the woke movement gone too far, or is it helping to create a more inclusive world? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions on the impact of woke culture.